We are back.
Jeez, coming in loud for the
That was so loud.
We said be enthusiastic,
that
but
was a lot
you
louder than
just-
I wanted it to be.
You
Sorry
redlined
if
the
I just-
audio.
Blew your speakers out of your car, or your headphones, or whatever. But hey, we're back.
We're back.
It's been a couple weeks.
It's been a hiatus.
It's been a hiatus. It's been a hashtag Jared Rumsey hiatus, who's still on hashtag Jared Rumsey hiatus. Because if you're watching this, you'll notice he's not here yet.
Yep.
Where is Jared Rumsey?
Where's Jared Rumsey? Hashtag Where's Jared?
We kicked
That's
him
the
off.
new one.
Make it
So
make it on
so
Twitter.
biggest update to season 3 is we kicked Jared off. He just wasn't feeling it anymore. He said he doesn't want to help anyone anymore. So he's gone.
Permanently.
We weren't about that. So unfortunately,
We're
we're
about
just
that
kidding. We're just kidding. Of course, Jared's still on the podcast. It was his brainchild. He's
But what
stuck
we're
at
not
work
kidding
right now.
about is it is season 3.
And he is still on the hiatus. So
That is true.
He is still on
And
the hiatus. He's not here. But
if no one
this
thinks
is-
about it, hold on. If no one
Yep.
has realized it yet, this episode's going to come out October 4th. Monday, October 4th. That's going to be the 1-year anniversary of the show, by the way. So we lined it up somewhat perfectly, and I don't think
perfectly.
I don't think we planned it.
no, that's awesome.
No, but that's what dedication does. But we did need a little break. We took a couple weeks off, as you guys I'm sure have noticed. It was much needed, and we are back, and we are refreshed, and we are ready to rumble. And
Wow, that
season
came-
3, episode 1, we are talking about side hustles.
Side hustles.
Side hustles and our experiences with side hustles. So, Chris, let's talk about side hustles.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back. You talked about the hiatus and why we needed it. We can do a whole nother episode on that later on. But just know sometimes, social media, we talked about it, kind of bears you down, and you need a break. You need a break from trying to mash schedules together. You need a break from posting, being on here. Like, is the work getting done? It's too stressful sometimes. So just take a nice little break. That's nice. That's what we did. And we're all back. We're refreshed. And we feel good.
Yeah.
So side hustles, it's pretty important. It's not important at all. You don't have to do this, but it's a nice little way to make some extra money, and hopefully it's doing something you enjoy or something easy enough to make some extra cash for you to then go enjoy. And me and Town were actually talking before we started recording, and he brought up a good point. And it seems like these days a lot more people are doing it. And it's a lot easier because you have such a wide variety of platforms to get yourself out there. So, Talon, you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was actually just kind of thought about that while you were talking, but side hustles in general seems like it's been a lot more normalized and more people are just doing it in general. Like, I remember, like, maybe when I was in elementary school or something, when, like, I don't know, a friend's parent was like, oh yeah, I have a second job. It just seemed weird. Or, like, just anyone that had more than one job, it just seemed like, why are you doing that? But today, it feels like it's just becoming more common. And whether it be, like you said, maybe they want some extra cash on the sideline, or they picked up an extra hobby, they want to start an extra business or something like that. There's so many options available for people, and it's just become so normal, and it's just so big part of our generation. Maybe 2020 and everything, and even this year, maybe that had a big part of it. People were out of work, and they just needed an extra way to make some money, so they just got creative. But it just seems like it's just normal now, and people are just talking about it more.
I feel like that's definitely the case. Is successful people try to fill the void of not working. Maybe they were still getting paid like we were, and we just got so bored. It's like we need to do something productive. So we started the podcast at least, and then my photography really started to take off. And I know Randy's woodworking. He's been super busy. So it's stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily you have to have a second job. But a lot of people are doing that, like you said, and a lot of people are starting stuff like this on the side, like my photography or Randy's woodworking. And with things like TikTok, Instagram, social media, this is the positive aspect of that, right? Is it's so easy to not necessarily get a huge following, but to start and to get people to look at your stuff and maybe purchase some of your hard work, So it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I've gotten like tons of just views and likes and comments on stuff from just totally random people on my social media pages when I post, in the rare occasion that I post, because I don't post nearly as much as I should. But
Yeah.
we're gonna get into that part of it later as well too. But yeah, I mean, Facebook and Instagram are what grew my side hustle into what it is today. Really, we talked about it a little bit when we did our social media episode, but that played a big role. At first, I started out just word of mouth kind of stuff. Like somebody would say, "Hey, don't you do this?" and I would do it. But it kind of became like something where I realized I can actually make a good amount of money doing this in just what is free time that I would otherwise be wasting.
And you enjoy
So,
it.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. It's something fun that I like to do. And I started posting. I would post pictures, just start off on Facebook, not so much on Instagram, but I would just put up a post of something that I made or something that I wood burned. And I had people all the time coming up to me and saying, hey, could you make me this or could you make me that? And it went from there. So as much as I'm a very big critic of Facebook, I have Facebook to thank for the growth of my side hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I bet you can grow even more if you filmed yourself and you edited some videos and like some cool transition. Like it could grow. And that's the beauty of it, right? Is we're seeing people do this and we're seeing them take off, and it's really nice. Like look at, I don't want to bring this in, but I'm doing it. Look at TikTokers, man. They don't do anything. They just film themselves and they're famous. So, whatever. But yeah, a lot of people are doing this. And I know you mentioned like word of mouth. So something I actually just did 2 days ago now, I believe. One of the guys we work with, Talon knows him. He texted me and said, "Hey man, this is from my realtor." And his realtor said, "Hey, I can't find a photographer to take these 2 photos of your house, right? I just want like twilight photos, like sunset and whatever." So he's like, "Hey, would you be interested?" I was like, "Yeah, give her my contact. Here's my Instagram, right?" And so use that social media positively. So she looked up my Instagram, sent me a message, hooked up with me, and then we went and, I didn't mean to say hooked up, but contacted me. Contacted me.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, and we moved forward, and I made some extra cash this weekend. Just word of mouth. Like, he was like, "Hey, my realtor's looking. I know you take photos. Have you ever done real estate? Doesn't matter. Do you want to?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So, yeah, it was sick. And it's actually on the website right now. It's cool to see my work out in public like that.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
pretty awesome.
You get more experience as a photographer. You get a little extra money for it. Maybe that realtor can go talk to other realtors and recommend you. So
Exactly.
that's a great way to do it. And I think both of your guys' examples is just a great, it's just a great example of what side hustles are nowadays. And I was talking to Chris before this, and I think that today side hustles are just more ambitious. Like years ago, like a lot of time when people thought about side hustles or just a second job, they just thought about like working at a convenience store, like something simple like that, working at like a fast food restaurant. But I feel like today, most people's side hustles is like a form of like their own business, like they're building a business or something, such as like 2020. It's like, oh, I don't have a job, I like making stuff, let me make masks. And then their side hustle and hobby turns into like, now they have a clothing website or something. Like people are just starting businesses, doing the things that they love, and even if it doesn't take off, like just little bits, like little like times here and there, it makes a big difference for people, even if they don't make a lot of money from it.
Think about how huge the whole mask thing was when it came out that like everybody had to wear masks. There were so many people who jumped and took advantage of that like so quick, and they got out and started making the cloth masks and all these like designer colors and color schemes and patterns, and then like they made the weird. You ever see for the people who have like really long beards?
No,
they
but I'm
made
picturing
the really
it.
long ones. Yeah, but like,
And like,
it's a market all in and of itself, and I mean, granted, like people, it's like you said, people can start with masks, and I mean, eventually this mask thing is gonna go away, and where do they go from there? Well, it's like, well, they have all this experience already doing that. Like, how hard is it to jump to something else?
Yeah.
and it's it's all about being opportunistic and ambitious, like Talon said. See, those 2 words came organically. Well, opportunistic did. Ambitious I stole, but that's
Nice.
Good, man. It's season 3. We gotta throw it in first episode.
Yeah.
Organic.
Righto.
But yeah, so you're right. It's not like people are just doing stuff they don't enjoy. Their side hustles are typically something they thoroughly enjoy, if not love, and want to make their career. It's just starting out small and then seeing where it takes you, you know? So I know that's my end goal, and I would like to own my own business. That's all I want to do when I get out, is work for myself. And through the podcast and photography, I'd like to make that happen. More so photography and like traveling and stuff. Like that's my end goal. So as a side hustle right now, I'm really trying to get myself out there, get the experience. Like real estate, I'll be honest, it wasn't the best photo I've ever taken, but it's the first photo I've ever taken for real estate. So now I have that in my back pocket and I can move forward doing that stuff. Yeah. So it's all about getting out of your comfort zone, which we always talk about, and just starting. Taking that first step is very difficult, and you're going to be afraid of failing. And I know this is actually a great example, because he called me up and he said, "Hey man, we're not going to use your photo. It's just not what we were looking for." And I was like, "Shit, what?" And but I was like, "Well, what are you looking for?" Like all I was told was, "You just need a house, like a photo at sunset." And he was like, "Well, we wanted like more light, like make it look more welcome." I was like, "Dude, done. Like I'll just go in and edit it. Like I got you. I just wanted to keep it natural because I thought that's what you were looking for." So that's a perfect example. Like I failed right away. It was like, "Hey, we're not going to use it." I was like, shit. Well, I went back and put the time and effort in, way more than I had to, and I'm much happier with the outcome. And they actually used it, so that's great.
Awesome.
I want to comment on that, because I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of. They're afraid of starting these things, and they're afraid of failing. Everyone's afraid of failure, but I've been listening to the 4-Hour Work Week on Audible. By the way, link in the description, free 30 days.
Ooh,
hell.
I like, not even joking, I was at the gym yesterday listening to the book, and it got to a point just like that. People are so afraid of doing something new because of failure, but if you really think about it, not doing it, you're immediately failing. Mm-hmm. So like, why are you afraid to start it? Why aren't you afraid of not starting it? Because if you're just afraid of failure, so you just have to put yourself out there and just try. Because what's the worst case? I mean, they said, like for you, they said they're not going to use it. Guess what? You can fix it for the future. So yeah, and as long as you keep trying,
still got paid.
Yeah.
And Chris, think about where your brain went there too. Like how many people, when they said, "Oh, we're not going to use your picture," how many people would have been kind of like, "Oh, well, that sucks. Done. End of it."
Yeah. Especially because I had gotten paid already anyway.
Yeah. I mean, but then probably you think about it though, and it's like, okay, they didn't like my picture. I guess I won't do that ever again.
Yeah.
Like how many people's brains would have went there? Like that's the mindset you have to have, where it's like, you know, don't just give up on it. It's like, okay, I didn't do it well the first time, so I guess I'm just done. Like, no, ask them and do like what you did. What can I do better? What can be done differently?
Yeah.
For sure.
It was probably just a communication thing between.
It was, yeah. Exactly. So, but yeah, that's with everything. That's not just my photography. I know, Randy, I'm sure you've had that with your woodworking. So, what's some tips you would give someone trying to start a side hustle? Is there anything, maybe startup money you would recommend, like not needing the best gear or something?
You definitely have to take that into consideration when you're starting a side hustle. Now, I was lucky in the fact that my dad has a fully stocked, fully decked out wood shop at home, and I still live at home. So I was lucky in the sense that I didn't have to go out and buy equipment. Most of the equipment that I need, or at least like the big expensive, big ticket items, I already own. So that's something to consider. Like if I was going to get into a woodworking side business and I had no equipment, that right there is, could have possibly been a stall for me, because you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So it's like, all right, it might be really cool to do, but is it realistic for me to afford that? Like, do I want to spend that kind of money on something that's going to be a side hustle?
Yeah, and I think to counter that at that point, because I can talk about this too, would be maybe you only get a lathe. Maybe you only get something to burn wood. Start smaller, and then as you progress through sales with that, you can then go reinvest and purchase more equipment, and then just keep reinvesting in your own business.
Right.
And I think that's the key to business right there, right? Obviously, everybody would do that if they were always successful.
That's where you look at it. At what point does it stop being a side hustle and does it become a business?
And that's the goal. I think for a lot of people, as we said, as the passion is there for that, I think that's everyone's goal.
Yeah, that just got me thinking. It's just like, why do most people start a side hustle? Is it to make extra money, or is it to try and see opportunities to get away from like their current jobs or something like that. And like you, Chris, I think it's because they want to start a business. They want to work for themselves. And a side hustle, like you can still have your full-time job and you can try something out and try and see if you can grow it and everything. And I think that's just, I think maybe that has a lot to do with like right now, like everyone knows about like the labor shortages and everything. It's just because people have, for the most part, realized that they don't want to do like traditionally what people do when it comes to working. And so more and more people are trying to find these side hustles, and they're trying to find these small businesses that they can start, turn their hobbies into a business. And I think just because more and more people just want to work for themselves, or at least they like certain aspects of it that other traditional businesses don't support.
Right. And like we said, it's definitely the easiest time in our lifetime to go out and start that. It's honestly really weird driving around and looking at every single business I go into. There's signs saying they're hiring.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy.
Remember when we were teenagers and it was like, I don't want to get into like remember when, but remember when we were teenagers and like we couldn't find jobs because it was so difficult, and now it's like, you're gonna pay me how much? It's pretty great. But yeah. So back to not needing the best equipment. I know my buddy Tyler in Kansas City, he actually just came up. He's like, what camera do you recommend? I was like, well, what are you trying to do? Like, what's your budget? What are you trying to do? And he's like, I just want to take like some portraits and maybe some landscapes. Like, all right, so you don't need like a top of the line camera. And you can start small. And if you like it, then you can grow from there. You know, if you make money off it and stuff, you can grow from there. My dumbass, I wouldn't say I'm dumb because I have been using it, thank God. But I went all out, man. I came back with a bunch of money.
You fully sent it, my dude.
Yeah, I know it. I was like, well, it's always been a passion of mine. It's always been on the back of my mind. I'm just going to full send it. You guys silly? Still going to send it. And I remember talking to Randy, and he goes, you spent how much? You could have got my whole wood shop for that. I was like, oh, shit. Well, I'll enjoy that too.
Literally, when he sent me how much he spent on the camera equipment, I was like, all right. I was like, that's this much. I was standing in my wood shop when he called me actually about it and told me. And I was like, I'm pointing at equipment going, that's this much, that's this much, that's this much, that's that much. I was like, it's about half of what I would need. It's like, I was like, I could have bought all the basic stuff that I would need to get started with a woodworking business.
Dude, I remember like when you got your tax return, like half of it went to a PC and the other half went to a lens. Just like one lens that costs like $1,000. I'm like, what the heck?
1,000. Try closer to 3.
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah, I remember now.
Point.
Yeah, that's
point.
Insane.
But it's good because I'm using it, and I'm not making I don't have time to make it a full-time job yet and go out, and I could probably do weddings on the side right now. But again, I don't have the experience, so I would like to do more portraits first and maybe a partner. But that's it. This is all it. Like how your brain works. How can you make your side hustle fruitful? How can you grow it to something you really enjoy and can make a career out of? And so that's what this episode's, mostly about. So if you guys have any final points, go ahead.
Yeah,
I have definitely some more that I would like to touch on with this.
Oh yeah, same here.
Number one, also ask, like, when you start a side hustle, especially if it starts to get popular or when it starts to get popular, ask yourself how far do you want this to go? Yep. Like for me, for a while, I started really pushing really hard at that side business because I was trying to push it to make it, possibly a career for me in the future, something that would just be my job. Recently, actually, we're at about a month. Actually, it's been a month. I got a new job in a really cool career field and doing a really cool job working with trains. And now, like, the side business has kind of just become more of that again. It's just a side business. I don't plan to pursue it and push it now at this point. Like I still want to keep doing it. I still want to do as much of it as I can, but now it's not the point where I feel like I want to push it to be a full-time job. So you have to really make that distinction, and you have to also keep in mind how much time you have with your full-time job. That's a problem that I would often run into where I would say yes to a bunch of projects and then still have to work 40 hours a week at my regular job. Yeah, I see Chris raising his hand now. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, I'm up until, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every night trying to get projects done on time.
Yeah, I still don't have my ring.
Yeah, I know. And then it just becomes unhealthy and it becomes not fun anymore. And that's not what you want. Like for me, I got to that point a few times where I just had to take breaks from it because I would get a bunch of projects at once and I'd get them done. And by the time I got them done, I was like, I need to step away from this for a little bit.
Yeah, you only have so much time and energy in your day. And when it comes to starting a side hustle, you need to understand why you're doing it. Is it because you truly want to be doing that side hustle as your like full-time job? Or is it because like you, Randy, maybe your full-time job, you want to get away from that? So like what's the best way to solve it? Like there's other options other than trying to start the side hustle, burning yourself out just so you can build that business. Or maybe the actual answer is maybe you actually just want a different career. Even if you don't know it at the time, but that could solve the majority of your problems.
Or maybe you full send it and you do quit your job and then you have the time and you must make it happen.
You must
and
go. Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part that people don't do, but I think the most successful people are the ones that do that. I'm not saying go out and quit your job and whatever your side hustle is right now, it's going to work out. It might not work out, right? But that is like the no safety net is like it'll push you.
Yeah.
And full disclosure from my end of it too, it did not start out as that for me either. Like it didn't start out where I intended it to become something that I did as a career. That kind of developed, and like I said, it kind of went away at this point. But it's actually kind of a funny story how I got into it. I was at a liquor store with my buddy Eddie. I was like just 21. And it was the most random thing ever. But this woman walks in and she goes, I have a really random question, but does anybody know anyone who does woodworking? And I honestly wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to buy my beer and leave. And Eddie, being the person he is, throws me right under the bus and goes, oh, this guy right here. This guy does woodworking. So I was like, yeah, I do woodworking. What are you looking for? So she told me she was a realtor and she was doing like these decorative cutting boards as thank you gifts for her clients. So it got to a point for a while, she was ordering like probably 4 or 5 a month from me. And like, that's pretty much how it started. And then I showed people pictures of it and it took off from there. But I really only started because my buddy has a big mouth. Not even because I necessarily wanted it to, but then that's what made me realize this is something cool that I enjoy doing that I could make some money off of.
Yeah, word of mouth is huge, as we both can attest to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything else, Talon?
Yeah, I just want to say that there is so much opportunity out there. Like, if you truly want if you want to succeed in anything, all you have to do is just put the time and effort into it, and you can honestly succeed. Like, you wanna start a side business, just do it. Come up with an idea and just send it. Like I said, the only time that you truly fail is if you don't try. You're immediately failing if you don't try. So, honestly, I think that more people should just, if you're afraid, just go for it.
Yeah, obviously financially responsibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to switch a flip. Did I say it right?
Carrying it over to season 3. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
I honestly forgot about that one.
Same old jokes, man.
I know we're old dogs. We don't learn new tricks here at Lessons Learned.
I heard the accent. Did you hear it?
I did.
Talon?
Yeah.
Water?
We're old dogs.
Shut up.
Anyway, continue.
So there can be a negative side to this, and that's what I started to touch on a little bit. And I don't want to paint it in a bad light. I just want people to be aware that there is kind of like the negative aspect of it. You have to remember that if you are providing a product or a service to people, number one, you're going to have times where you might make something that came out absolutely perfectly and people aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
So number one, that's going to happen. You can't let it, it's like we talked a little bit about earlier. You can't let that bring you down and make you quit because one or two people did. I had that. It was like the third or fourth project I did. I made this. It was just like a wood burning on like a log slice, and I thought it came out so cool, and everybody I talked to thought it came out so cool, and I spent a ton of time on it, and then I went to give it to the customer, and they're like, I don't like it.
Yep.
But I didn't let it. I mean, I was pissed because I spent a lot of time on it, but I didn't let it make me quit. I just kind of was like, all right, well, whatever, it is what it is. So you just gotta go on from there. The other thing, and this is again what I run into a lot, is just you have to make sure you time manage well. You have to know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Like you have to know what you can fit into your schedule. You have to give realistic timetables. You can't tell somebody that you're going to have something done in a week if realistically speaking, what you have time for is going to take you more than a week. Because I have plenty of projects that, realistically maybe take me 3 or 4 days to do, but sometimes those 3 or 4 day projects take me 3 or 4 weeks because that's just the amount of time that I have to work on it during the week. So you just have to keep that in mind. And then when you start promising more and more projects, it's like you can burn yourself out and you don't want to make yourself hate it. So
yeah, especially if you're doing it as a passion, you want to maintain it as a passion.
Yeah.
That's why for work used me a couple times for photography, and I was like, this is making me not like it. I'm never doing this again. So I refuse to do that.
Yeah.
So it's about finding that not even happy medium, just the happy high, right? Just keep it there.
I've done projects that I don't like.
Yeah. If it's stressing you out, it's not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're making a gigantic profit, why cause yourself more stress?
Yeah.
If it's a passion of yours.
And even then, what's the point of profit if you're just going to be depressed and angry all the time?
Yeah, exactly. You want to keep it something you enjoy and keep it profitable as best you can while still enjoying it. So yeah, those are a bunch of good points about side hustles today. So nice short little I guess it's not gonna be short. This is kind of gonna be the new standard, guys. So I hope you like it. Thanks for listening. Talon did mention the link in the description for Audible, and he's using it. If Talon's using Audible, you should probably be using Audible too, because Talon's a smart guy. And you'll see on our Instagram, which by the way, if you don't follow, you'll see a post of our intro when we first signed on to Discord together, all of us waving. I was also reading. You could probably find this on Audible too. Yeah, books are great. Audible's great. Talon's smart. Side hustles,
Smart.
hell yeah. Hope you guys liked it. Give us a follow every Monday. Season 3, you'll see the new intro. You'll hear the new intro if you're not watching on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you should probably go subscribe to YouTube, because you can see our beautiful faces and my beautiful cat over my shoulder and Talon's beautiful dog that was in most of the episode because she's adorable too. So,
and maybe not my face because Chris said it was covered by the mic.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I did text Randy about 10 minutes ago saying the mic was covering his face, and he didn't fix it because he didn't see the text.
Because I just looked at the text right now.
Yeah. Anyway, transparency. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Season 3. Boom! Till next time.
See ya.
Ah, my knee.
Ah.